Welcome to the Ave Podcast. Today, I'm joined by the director of Full Court 21, the host of the Open Run Podcast, which you can catch every Tuesday wherever you listen to podcasts. And in his spare time, he likes to step on lines habitually. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Will Strickland to the show. How you doing today, sir?
Trying to maintain, brother. Trying to
I hear you.
maintain.
I hear you. I hear you. You had quite the busy summer, man, which we'll get into in a minute. But just to get started, like, how was your summer? How was your summer going post COVID? AC
Oh,
after COVID?
see, that's the whole thing. We're not AC yet. That's the whole thing. We're
Yeah,
still in the midst. We're still in
yeah.
the midst, which is
Towards the
tough.
end. Towards the end.
But
Towards the end
we
of it.
hope it is. We don't want any more variants.
Mm,
But we took a shot on coming back this summer and doing the event in several places around the world, Japan, throughout the United States, of course, in all five cities in Canada. So we're
right.
just coming back slowly. We have a big 2023 lined up, but
Good.
because Canada's been so dominant on the world stage with Full Court 21, we decided, let's go ahead and do all Canadian finals since we're at new the all world finals in New York
Mm-hmm.
because of they had a huge breakout of monkeypox, so we couldn't plan around that, and we
Uh,
just decided against it.
yeah.
And we're like, okay, we're going to do an all Canadian final
Mm-hmm.
with special and international invited guests if they wanted to get that smoke internationally, put some more stamps in a passport.
Mm-hmm.
We call them the interns. Anybody who shows up and plays, that's I call a lot of people when we're playing against me on the court, the interns too, because I'm going to give you that work. So handle that, right? And we had 5 winners from across the country in every one of our markets: Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Edmonton, and Halifax,
Mm-hmm.
who won for 2022. Plus, we invited the three last winners of the All World Finals, who just so happened to be Canadians. So the
Mm-hmm.
2017 champion, Nolan Gooding, aka 50-50, aka School Safety. That's a nickname he got in New York City
Mm-hmm.
because he looked. They say he looked like the dude who ran the school, so they call him School Safety, right? Um, Manny moved the crowd. Campbell, 2018 All World Champion, and my man Demi Harris, aka Demi Sosa, who won in 2019
Mm-hmm.
from Vancouver. And you have to imagine, like, these guys are beating players from over 30 markets on 4 continents from around the world in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically the basketball Olympics without the
Mm-hmm.
Olympics attached to them
Right.
for now.
For now. For now. We can get to talking when you unwrap that ribbon.
Yeah. Oh, it's something that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and we're very excited about it. But
And it makes sense too, right? You got 3-on-3, that's an
well,
Olympic sport. Why not? Why not? Like, it
well,
makes sense.
the president of the IOC has had a mandate that, as they know, the old timers are washing out a bit, so they have to reinvigorate the games to get younger people involved and engaged in the games.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there were some boxes they needed to tick off, and it was making them more gender balanced, more youth focused, and of course, more, in their words, I'll use the air quotes here, urban.
Right.
I guess we ticked off all those boxes, and you have 3 tiers of basketball now. You got 5-on-5, best in the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have 3-on-3, really good players, right? Some WNBA players are playing the 3-on-3 as well.
Right.
Kelsey Plum from the Las Vegas Aces won a medal this year, playing 3-on-3 in Tokyo. So you have 3-on-3, and then the final tier, 1-on-5. There's no other application of the game like this. Anybody could play, 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 1-on-1.
Right.
But this is a skill development game. It's a unique game, but it also harkens back to the essence of our and the genesis of our basketball playing experience. When you go
Mm-hmm.
down to the park, you don't go with a rep team. You don't go with, like, your squad. It's you after leaving the backyard or the driveway or whatever. You're testing your skills. You don't know who these people were at the park.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, like, you always see the lineup. So it's like the dude who was kind of nice in high school, but he was a knucklehead, couldn't, didn't play well with others, didn't go to university, but he's a hood star. Like, he runs the court. You got a dude who, he played overseas maybe after he played college or university. He's nice. He can hoop. Then you got the old cat who's been out there since they poured the concrete. Like, yo, young fella back in the day used to pull quarters off the top of the backboard. He's out there. And of course, the guy wearing a full Toronto Raptors uniform, but can't play at all. He's out there too, right? And some of them may be she's as well, because we've been talking about women playing basketball. So again, that is the community we cater to.
Right.
And I think that in doing that and having those guys show up, have some wild cards come out there, guys who have won before in the past, who have participated with us in the past, made it really exciting. So we had a women's division and a men's division, and our sponsor partner, eBay, gave away tens of thousands of dollars worth of sneakers. I'm talking about high-end, high-value.
I've seen the the Concords got thrown out there. I've seen that.
Cool Grays, throwing out Travis Scott joints, like $300, $400, $500, $600 sneakers, giving them away. Right? So shouts out to them. Shouts out to other donors, sponsors, and donor partners like, Size, which is like a boutique sneaker store in Canada, in Vancouver and Toronto. Xbox Canada gave me Xboxes to give away. I'm giving away Xboxes. I don't even play video games. I'm giving away Xboxes. Herschel Supply Company. Like, we had lots of great partners. And I think what makes giving all that stuff away so good is that the community is so engaged. We're able to do these things in the community and give back. And I left one thing out. Our male winner actually won, courtesy of the National Basketball League of Canada, the oldest professional basketball league in Canada. Our male winner got a training camp invite for winning Full Court 21. So your route to professional basketball doesn't always have to go through college and university. Now we're providing a conduit for opportunities, for experiences. And if you have that, that drive within you to come play and have an opportunity to play, in the NBLC or quite possibly the CBL, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. And, with our other deals that we're working on for the United States, with the NBA's G League, and also Ice Cube's Big Three League. Just opportunities.
The smirks on your face. I see the ceilings being removed. I like to see that. I'm all about that. I'm all about that.
For me, it's just really about creating opportunities and giving back to what it's given to me so greatly. So, I'm really excited about what we have coming up. I'm excited. I love the people who come to play with us. I think they're high quality, high value people. And I appreciate their contributions to this thing we call Full Court 21, the world's most unique basketball tournament.
Now, I want to take it back a little bit, because obviously this is the first one you've done since, I like to say BC, before COVID, but and I want to get into the summer and everything, like a little more about that, but in all the cities, that the tournament was located at. But the genesis of this all, how did this begin for you? Just to let people know, just a reminder for people.
Bobito Garcia, for those who don't know, he's a cultural renaissance man, a friend of mine for well over 30 years.
Stretching Bobito.
Yeah. We go back like over, 35 years, I think, almost 35 years. Like fat crayons and car seats, as we like to say. It's been a long time, but we've collaborated on so many things as friends, as partners, as business partners. And it has to fit. It has to speak to our value system. Like the things we're doing has to speak to what we're into. So it's not just about, let's go get some money from it. We can get money from anybody. But when Bob started doing it, it was just for fun. I said, I just researched it, and I'm like, you know what? I want to litmus test this in Canada, because 21 in Canada is not the same as 21 in New York City. It's a different energy to it. But basketball has become more popular every year in Canada. So we want to make sure that, we reach out to people who want to play this game. And I spent a lot of time trying to explain the difference between playing American, even in Canada, it's called
American. No, we in Montreal, we used to call it
American in Toronto, right? They say the same thing in Toronto, but they call it St. Mary's in Halifax. It's the same game, but it's called something different. Even in New York City, You can be in Brooklyn, they call it Utah. You could be at West Forest, it's 21. You know, you go down to South Carolina, they call it 26.
Yeah.
You play in Kentucky and in Tennessee, they call it 36. And there's no free throws. You get it how you live. You go, the ball goes to the basket, you get it back, you score again, whatever you need to do. It's physical, but it's still the same. The concept is still the same. And, you know, when Bob started doing it in 2013, I plan my work so I can work my play. By 2015, I was ready to rock. Didn't have any connections really in Vancouver. Just went out there. I heard Kits Beach was like the Rucker of Vancouver. It's like the court where everybody went. Plus, the vista was beautiful. It's right on the beach. You know, it's beautiful. And the people were like, "No, my guy, not you. We can't have you doing a tournament out here. I'm just keeping a buck." They said my suntan was too deep. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can appreciate that." And I just went and found another spot to rock. So it was out in Richmond. We did the South Arm Recreation Center or South Arm Community Center, which is funny because the success we had from our first year there was so visible and viable to people who had been doing tournaments in that city for years. They moved their tournament to the park I was at.
Oh, I see. There you go.
So, you know, we did a lot there, but it was just like after doing Toronto and Vancouver, the amount of calls we got about bringing Full Court 21 to all these cities, I could have been greedy about it and messed my whole life up. But I said, how can we cover the country in a way that makes sense and that we can still control it and keep a narrative going?
Yeah, right.
And so we added Edmonton, Montreal, and Halifax to kind of cover the rest of the country. And it's been going great since 2016. The pandemic knocked us down for a little bit, but you know, I love what we're doing with it. And again, you know, everybody in every city is different, but I love the energy in each city, everything that we do, whether it's, you know, what we do in Vancouver and all the different areas there, or coming, you know, obviously Toronto is easy bake, but you know, going to Montreal and going to Park Oscar Peterson and Little Burgundy and understand the history of Little Burgundy in Montreal and seeing the cats from that neighborhood and that community embrace us, you know. And then for those who don't know, like, I don't care where you're from, if you don't pay respect to somebody else's soil, they will make sure you find out that it's due.
And
so when I go,
that's universal. That's that.
Yeah, well, you would think it's the universal. Not everyone understands the rules of the street, the
code
of the street.
I know.
So, you know, I go and talk to, you know, the goon squad and like, oh, my man, this is what we're doing this year. You know, we'd love for you to come over. We want to keep it peaceful if we can. Love to have you be a part of it. But you got to get that cosign, man. Absolutely. And we do that in every city, you know, other than, you know, the court in Toronto. I don't really have to do that part because this is my court. If anybody wants to dispute that, you can get your lunch money taken too. I don't really care, right? Man, woman, or child can all get it. I'm a ball player at heart, and I'm gonna always talk that talk. And oh, did you see the news earlier?
Which news? No,
it was about an active shooter in Toronto. You saw the thing?
Was that on the highway?
No, it's right here. He's an active shooter. He's always ready.
Why did I fall for that? I feel really stupid for that. I really feel dumb. Ready. I really feel dumb for falling for that. I really.
No, sir. Don't feel bad. The musket must bust all time. Okay, we're ready to go. Active shooter right here.
That's my fault.
Just letting you know.
That's my fault, people.
No,
I fell for that trap.
Listen. Far greater have fallen for it. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
That's hilarious.
It's part of it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
No, man, it's great, man. I just, again, it keeps me young. It keeps me active. It keeps me, you know, engaged in the community. And I think this, to be able to earn from something you love doing and you're not actually playing the game, you know, and to be able to give back while you're earning, and because the currency sometimes, a lot of it is cultural currency. It doesn't have any dollar figure you can put on it.
Yeah.
Right. The ability to create connective tissue between players who come from all around the world playing this game, and like, yo, next time you're in Japan, or let's do a little tour in Tokyo, we can get some monies, and like, we're setting up for Tokyo or for a Japanese tour and a China tour for Full Court 21, fully financed.
That's what's up.
Guys who've never been anywhere before are getting this opportunity to play and get paid for their play. It's not a whole lot of money, but guess what? These guys going into their 30s and early 40s are like, yo, here's my opportunity. I
Hmm.
played a little professional. I got a couple of tryouts. You know, they pay me. Anytime you get paid to play a game, you're a professional. So, you know,
That's it.
at the end of the day, being able to go and do this and have these experiences, come back and be like, this all came because we participated in Full Court 21. I love
Now,
that part of it.
now was it a specific year where you felt like you knew there was going to be like a lengthy future in this, or was it like after that 2015 year?
After 2015.
Okay, so right
And that's
after
when
that
we
first
flipped it
year.
from just like fun to like I started creating and crafting a business model around it and then adding elements to it, like not just doing the tournament, but also like this year, or well, in New York, I started doing this full court 21 experience.
Yeah,
And I could not replicate, like you can't replicate New York anywhere. I don't care if it's in a movie, it still can't be that
yeah,
thing. So in New York, I would take them to ESPN. So they went on First Take and Get Out and Jalen Jacoby.
and
You
Sway
know,
and
I took them to Sway in the morning at Sirius XM, taking them to the NBA offices where they get to live a day in the life of an NBA player. JJ Redick was there shooting with the guys one day, just kind of talking to them. So those experiences are great. We did a court crawl instead of like a pub or club crawl. We did a court crawl. So I took them to West Fourth, places they'd heard about or
yeah,
saw on like video games. I took you to West Fourth. I took you to Rucker. I took you to Dykeman. I took you to Biggie Park in Brooklyn. Then we end
mhm.
up at Brooklyn Bridge Park, and the Brooklyn Nets show up. Of course, it's not KD and Kyrie. It's
Yeah,
like
at the time.
Kessler. It's like Kessler, Edwards, and Cam Thomas, but it's still the Brooklyn Nets,
Yeah,
right? So you have the Statue of Liberty in the background. You're shooting. You're playing. It's like there's a vibe to it.
mhm.
So those experiences, and because I couldn't replicate in Toronto what we do in New York, the plan was one thing, and I'll tell you the plan because the plan was sick. So
Mhm.
we were still our meet and greet was supposed to happen at 360, the rotating restaurant at the top of the CN Tower.
Yeah,
Right, we're gonna start off there. On Friday, we had our shoot around, our photo shoot for the players, which that happened.
mhm.
Then, and later on that evening, our first ever ladies first event.
Right.
Ladies first was a celebration of women of color and sneaker culture and in basketball. Right, so we had a panel discussion. It was such a resounding success that now we're going to do them across the country in conjunction with Hoop Queens and Slam Magazine,
Okay.
right? To talk more about the women's game and why, from a sneaker culture standpoint and all those marketplaces, having those communities come out because we need more female engagement in the tournament. And this is one way for us to do outreach and to give back in that way and start listening. Like our whole thing was about here's a listen and lunch event for us because as men, sometimes we don't know how to create that space or offer the grace that's necessary for these women to feel safe in those spaces with us
Yeah.
and play the game they love playing too. Or what or rock the sneakers. Oh, you want the pink sneakers? No, I like those. Those are rugged to me. So I'm going to wear those. It had nothing to do with color, right?
Mhm.
So, just having that. So ladies first was great. The women who were on the panel, if you're not familiar with them, my host or moderator for the evening, Marsha Gate Knight, who runs this blacks and sports business company that you should check out. They just celebrated their second like birth date, and it's really she does a lot of great things for Black people who are in the business of sports in Canada. It's not
Okay.
just athletes. You should check that out.
Okay.
Kisa K from Hoop Queens was there. She's on the panel. The first paid women's summer league in the history of Canada. I can't remember anyone anywhere else. So
Mhm.
she's doing something. She stepped out on her own and is doing her thing.
Made that happen.
We had Shireen Edros from eBay Canada, the Jordan Queen. She was our sponsor this year.
Mhm.
She was there. We had, Ivy Tomasi, who plays at Brock University, and my homegirl Minori, who, Fukushi, who played in the tournament as well. So kudos to those ladies who are coming out and supporting and making it happen. And then on Saturday, what we were supposed to do after the tournament was we're going to end up top as the Champagne Poppies. We're going to
Mm.
do an IG live with Drake at
Mm.
his house but he got COVID and threw off his whole schedule.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so even though he, got back and did the show anyway, it just everything got thrown off. So it's like the amount of security and checks we had to go through to get that done, because of course we're going into his home.
Yeah. So that's
Right. So it's just it was
it's like going to the White House.
this yeah, I mean it was disappointing we couldn't do it, but I understood.
Mm,
And I appreciate Morgan and those guys over at OVO Sound looking out for us like that.
yeah.
But we ended up doing a fundraiser with Hoop Queens.
Okay.
They had a fundraiser to help young ladies, and there was a scholarship that went to it, so we wanted to support that and focus our efforts on that. We normally have a championship dinner after the tournament. We gave the funding to that to Hoop Queens. So again, steel sharpening steel at all times. And what we're doing is creating these experiences, but also there has to be a takeaway. We don't want to do the thing where we do a party and there's like red Solo cups on the ground and that's it. We're done. We're out
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
There has
Gotta
to
be
be
more.
some. Yeah, we want to make it sustainable, man. I think in everything we do, there are three very basic steps: setup, execution, and follow through. Most people fail in the follow through. We want to continue to succeed in the follow through. So I'm
Now,
looking forward to what we do next year.
now, how tough was it for you to like watch the tournament have to go on pause because of COVID? Like, was there a time throughout that 2, 3 year mark where you were like, man, this is threatening the future?
Get the knife out of my chest. Like, it was like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the threat is always there. I mean, our health is first and foremost,
For sure.
and being healthy and safe was paramount. For us to do this thing the right way. Everyone had COVID tests on their own. We made sure that everything was good before we got together. But then, you can't prevent everything. You're outdoors. We don't have a super controlled environment that way. But, I was hurt by the momentum being slowed.
Yeah.
But that also gives you an opportunity to, in our general nature as Black people, we've always, if you look at our history, we've always taken nothing and turned it into something. So COVID just offered us an opportunity to be more creative
And plan.
and think, yeah, you got to plan your work so you can work your plan. And I think that oftentimes we took that not as a break, but like, okay, how do we do this better? So when we come back from the thing, instead of us chasing our fans, why don't we go to where they're going to be? Well, what was the first thing that a lot of people did when they were freed from like some of the restrictions of COVID? They want to go sit in the park or go to an amusement park.
Mm.
So we struck a deal, or we put the plan together, I should say, to partner with Six Flags in the United States
Right.
and do Full Court 21 and Sneaker Summit, which draws 3,000-4,000 kids every time they do it,
Mm.
to Six Flags, like inside the park
Mm.
as an event. The G League will put down a wooden floor with all the logos and decals and everything. We have them out there, some of their players, the mascot, all kinds of giveaways. Is working with Staples Canada and Staples US as well for them to provide back to school backpacks full of their basic supplies as well for our youth, because we do a free like youth mini skills tournament, or not tournament, but like development camp and mini camp in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's some of the takeaway. They get that stuff, you know, and going to these Six Flags locations with the G League, with Sneaker Summit, with one of our other sponsors in the United States, Snipes, which is basically the European Foot Locker. They now have 100 storefronts in the United States, big following online. And of course, my company, One Neighborhood and Full Court 21, we were doing it at 6 or 7 different Six Flags locations across America,
Okay.
along with Sneaker Summit. So if you say, for instance, Darien Lake, the one in Darien, or Canada's Wonderland, for the
Right.
sake of conversation. And we did this with the Raptors 905. And on an average Saturday, they had 10,000 people come through the turnstiles, right? But with Sneaker Summit and what we're doing with Full Court 21, maybe another 5,000-6,000 come through. You think let's say for the sake of conversation, at $50 a pop for another 5,000 people, they're going to say no to another incremental $250,000 on top of what they were earning on average?
Exactly.
Absolutely not. And that's how I pitched it, and that's how we got the deal.
And
So
and it's smart because at the end of the day, even after the event's over, well, there's rides, there's amusements, there's this, there's that. Who's not gonna
The value. It's
right?
all about the value, and I think they saw the value in us bringing more people in there. But this was an attraction, and to be able to do this at 7 different locations across the United States, we had it locked in for this year. Couldn't get everything locked in the way we wanted to because it was going to go from May the 14th to June 25th this year.
Mm-hmm.
Next year we have it kind of planned the same way, but we're in meetings with them toward the end of September, early October,
Okay.
to lock in allocations at every spot and make sure there are no conflicts of interest as far as any sponsors or anything like that. But it's a great place to be, and I'm feeling comfortable with what we're doing with that. Having so many like different broadcasting partners that we're working with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Caffeine.tv, look out for them. If you're not familiar with caffeine.tv, I would check that out and keep that in mind. You'll see a lot of stuff that's engaged with like everything. The ethos of everything we do is hip hop, hoops, sneakers,
Yeah.
rock rubber 45s. So like Bobito's film is called Rock Rubber 45s. It's really everything we do. Like that's us. So to be able to live through what you love and earn as a result is a blessing, my guy.
Yeah.
And this is I'm just happy to be a part of it, to tell you the truth.
No, and honestly, it sounds like I said, just and I asked these questions just because it did seem like coming out of this pandemic, like you guys stepped it out a notch from getting the sponsorship that you're discussing, adding the women's division. You had all Canadian final with the men from all 5 cities, plus the past winners. Shout out to Tremaine Otley for taking the crown. I believe he took the crown,
Yeah,
right, for this year. I gotta
yeah.
gotta give him a
Young
shout for that.
Anthony Otley Jr.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He came out and he's the wild card, but he was also the 2017 and 2018 Full Court 21 Toronto
Oh,
champion.
champion, right?
And he went down to New York with us once and was so amped to meet Bobito.
Mm.
And we normally have like the little shoot around before the tournament.
Mm.
And I'm like, Anthony, just go out and just shoot, man. Don't try to impress him. Like, don't do anything. Ends up twisting his ankle. And Bob's like a really big fan of Otley because of like, he was just really open, right? Like, yo, this is Bobito. Do you know what this is? Like he was on my NBA 2K Street. Like he was the voice for that,
Mm.
Bob's doing another, like he's doing something in Metaverse right now. This game, he's doing a voiceover for that with my man King Handles, Joey Hayward, who played in the tournament out in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd come back and play. He was doing a thing with Bone Collector and stuff in Toronto not too long ago. So Joey's a really good, like a really good person to have on your team, really good person to promote the game of basketball. Like he never stops playing basketball, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful thing. He has a genuine love for it. So yeah, just like I said, the people make this, man. We just provide and facilitate an environment for this thing to happen. These guys have to join it and have to make it happen, men and women who make this thing go, and we appreciate all of them.
Now, out of the 5 cities, Edmonton, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Halifax, which one would you say surprised you, especially coming back in terms of the hype and the love, especially just after the hiatus of the COVID break?
I was a little upset at Edmonton, but I was glad we got our first Indigenous winner.
Okay.
So my man, he's quite bouncy, King Caribou. Keenan Caribou, you might see a bunch of videos.
I've been seeing his videos recently.
Young is quite bouncy and just a good dude. And he was like, I didn't even know about this thing, and now it's opened up a whole nother world to me. And he stays close. I love that part that they just want to learn. They want to be a part of something. And he talked about his story is so important. I think I always tell all these guys, like the narratives and the storytelling we do through doing this tournament is so important. Coming from this small town in Manitoba where they don't get a whole lot. He's a role model to his community.
Mm.
And for him to come and be able to take that back to his community and tell them, this is what I'm doing. Can you see me? And he did a lot when he was in Toronto. And they're like, it meant a lot to him. And I told him stories on the podcast. If you check our episode where, we were talking about how I had never been to a First Nations community, and I've had the opportunity to have so many experiences in Canada. When I went, the first time I went was this place and just outside of Calgary called the Sutana tribe, and I was doing a thing called the Corner. Well, again, some young people it's a hip hop musical that incorporates spoken word, R&B, and rap to kind of talk about issues of the day for young people. And when we get there, like there's these placards all around the gym because the gym was also their auditorium, was also their lunchroom, right?
Yeah.
So they had finished eating lunch, they cleaned up the floor, and I was just shooting hoops with this one kid. And I said, "My man, how do you say this word?" And I had him say it to me like 30 times. He goes, "But if you say it this way, it means something totally different." So now I thought he was trying to play me. So I got some other kids from like different parts of the gym. How do you say that? So when I come out on the stage, like I'm acting like I'm totally oblivious to them in the crowd. I have this newspaper in front of me, and I do the people's eyebrow, and pull the paper down and everything. And I go, "What are you guys doing on my corner? What are you doing on my block? Welcome to the corner. My name is Will, the barber." That's my barber shop back there. Instead of saying what's up to them, I pull the paper down and I go, "Nada nasta nada." And they lost their minds. And so did Keenan. He goes, "Bro, you just telling me that story and that you cared enough to take one word, like that changed because it was a respect thing." And that's what, again, the cultural currency. In everything we do, we try to make sure that we are transferring this kind of stuff in communities that are generally underserved. Like, your voice matters. We want to make sure your voice is amplified through what we do.
No, 100%. Now, I don't want you to give your secret sauce away, but what's your plans for Full Court 21 next year? Like, and I'm asking in terms of more so in terms of location. Will you guys be heading back to New York, or are you looking to have the world come back to Toronto each year instead of New York City?
I mean, we eventually want to get to the point of a movable feast. We've gotten some feelers from, Australia. Australia really wants to be down with what we're doing, and if we go that far, we have a lot that we're going to put together with them, and become like sort of like cultural attachés to those countries that we go into, and exchanging this game that's not commonly played in other places outside of North America like that. So we want to make sure that we do that as ambassadors for the game, as shareholders of the culture, making sure that we are protecting it and sharing it the proper way. And I'm just looking forward to those things. But, honing in on what we want to do in North America, getting more markets in North America, bringing back Atlanta, bringing back Chicago, bringing Houston into the fold, strengthening what we do in Portland and Seattle, in San Jose, in LA. Like, we're really making sure that we have the world there. We want to get back into Africa again. We had Africa early on with Ghana, Benin, Mali, different places like that, and we want to bring them back into the fold. So, we're looking forward to strengthening our women's divisions, making sure our that we're not doing too much too soon. And, the Six Flags events that I was telling you about, that's a full summer for me. But it's, the payoff is so sweet because, again, you make these relationships that seem to last forever. There are families and people. There's a family, the McGee family in Halifax. They don't care if their son wins or loses. They drive to Toronto. They drive to New York to support the tournament every year without fail.
That's crazy.
Without fail. Like, they love the game. They love it's an energy to it. It's a vibe, man. And I want to tell your point shaving ass, next time you don't come down, we're going to have some issues. You know it's going to air you out in your show. I just had to wait for my moment.
Point shaving ass.
You got to watch him. He's kind of quick. No, I'm giving you the business, man. I'd love to see you down there next year, though, Cal.
Hey man, this Toronto traffic, I've never seen anything like this in my life. It is beyond. It took me 2 hours to get to that spot. I was mad. I was legitimately mad when I got there. It was the end. I was pissed.
You want to come downtown? We're gonna get a campsite for everybody. Like a picture tent right there next to the. But we will have a host hotel next year. Keep my fingers crossed. I'm gonna talk out of class right now. The Delta Toronto, right there, not too far away from the Scotiabank arena. And shouts out to Real World. Keep saying Real World. Real Sport. Real Sport. Yeah, Real Sports looked out tremendously for us this year. With the location. I think they're going to be a long-time partner. We're working on some stuff with them. We're trying to do it at what's the other place with the games and stuff? The Rec Room, but they get funny style now. So I'm
Mm.
like, I got to go with people,
I show you the love, man.
yeah, I can't front, I don't know why I gave him burn just now. So,
That's
it
all
is
right.
what it is.
That's all right. Now, I know you've been doing your thing for years, being on different shows and having your own shows, both TV and radio in the past. What made you decide to start your own podcast?
Well, I've been doing podcasts since the early podcast days. I mean, that's how we got to radio and TV in Canada.
Mm,
They came to us. We didn't come to them.
mm,
And you always have to build your own thing. As someone who's doing your own thing right now, like how do you make your voice stand out amongst the cacophony of sounds and noises that are out there? Like, what are you doing that's different than what everybody else is doing? And we understood that when we named our podcast All Balls Don't Bounce, the science behind the name was, in the world and in life, they'll tell you the ball's supposed to bounce this way. Where we come from, all balls don't bounce. And so
right.
by being able to put the science behind it and talk about like the sports from our perspectives that weren't really being shared, and then the things we were doing. I remember having our first meeting. I went to this sandwich spot. I can't name because they're not giving me sponsorship or
Right.
you. And ordered some tuna sandwiches, like a platter of sandwiches, and sat in my office downtown Toronto. Invited these guys over. My man Dwayne Watson, who's over at MLSC right now,
Mm-hmm.
and my man Morgan Campbell, who was a writer at the Toronto Star,
All right.
Canada's biggest newspaper, and sat down with them. And I said, "This is the idea, and if we do this right, before the end of the year, we will be at network television, 100%." 7 months later, we were at TSN
Mm-hmm.
because I knew. I mean, we did a couple of things along the way to make sure we hastened that trip.
Right.
We did our first live podcast for our 30th episode, the Sport Gallery. I don't know if you're familiar with Sport Magazine. It's like during the
Yeah.
80s and early 90s,
Oh
Sport
yeah,
Magazine,
yeah, yeah.
the competitor to Sports
What's
Illustrated.
illustrated? Yeah.
They have a gallery, and someone from Toronto bought Sport Magazine, and they opened up a gallery in the Distillery District, and we used that as a spot to do our first live podcast.
Right.
Now the place only could hold like 50 people. The amount of people in the parking lot trying to get in, and what we did after that, like a little party in the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
was crazy. But it was amazing. And then, are you a fan of The Wire?
Come on.
I don't. Hey, look, I ask out of respect. I ask
No,
out of
no,
respect.
no, 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 no doubt, no doubt. But I'm halfway insulted you even asked me that question.
No, I have to ask, man. It's a respect thing. I don't. I'm not one to assume at all.
No,
Okay.
no doubt, no,
So
no, no. But yes, the answer is yes, absolutely,
you remember
absolutely.
when Omar stole Prop Joe's drugs and sold them back to him?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did to TSN when we took the 30 for 30s that they were supposed to get and be able to air that they couldn't because we had them first. And then we had the nerve to screen them and invite all the heads of Bell Media and Rogers to come out and see what we were doing. And they were like, "How'd you guys get these 30 for 30s?" I said, "You hired us.
We'll tell you.
We'll let you know." So, they put some bids on the table. We took the best one, was TSN. And then they were like, "So you guys are going to be talent?" No, we're not talent. You can license our show. No, like we never had a licensed show before in our lives. I said, first time for everything. There's the other network that wants the same thing. Like, okay, well, let's figure this out. So not only, instead of getting one check and one, I shouldn't be talking like this. I don't want to talk like that, but like, we'll put it like this.
No,
We
it's
controlled
okay,
our,
man. Real spill right here.
we controlled our destiny
Mm-hmm.
at TSN, to the degree that we changed a lot of stuff that TSN is still doing today, which I was amazed that I couldn't believe when we were starting to talk to them about multi-platform integration, where we had like some synergy between what television was doing with radio, what radio was doing with digital, whether it be the written in print or it's streaming. They never had that. And I called a meeting to make that happen. And like, when they told me, I'm like, "How are you guys running this multi-million-dollar business and have never sat in the same room together?" We aggregated, like we did a thing for March Madness, which is the first big thing we did with them.
Yeah.
Where we started to aggregate all the Canadian players playing in March Madness and their social media accounts to create our own social community online so people can get familiar with these players.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hosting like Like these guys are like question and answer period. They're writing to me, asking me these questions. I'm like, I'm not even Canadian, but look at what we've already created a community for you in 2 days that you guys have been online for years.
Right.
How did no one else think about this before we got here?
Right. With all the
So
Canadians that's played over across the border, right?
you would think, but again, I don't assume. I just do. And we always say, things don't happen to us. We happen to things, and we
Mm.
make sure to happen to those things and make those things happen. They're still using it. So when it came time to opt out, I still had NBA TV Canada stuff that we were doing. Just always being in the mix and making sure that, from a branding standpoint, we made sure people knew who we were and what we were doing.
Mm.
Period. We didn't wait for somebody else. Like if you're sitting around waiting for somebody, you'll always be sitting around waiting for somebody. So what are you doing, with the podcast, Cal, when you think about, what you want with it? Is it just for fun? Do you want to earn from it? I mean, if you love it, why shouldn't you earn from it?
Right.
Right. And figuring out ways to make sure that it stands out in ways that people want to come and be a part of the experience, each and every week or however often you do the podcast, right?
Mm.
I think that's really important. And once you figure that out and figure out, like, again, playing your work as you work your plan, not to say it's going to work because everybody's out here podcasting now. And the idea of sports radio and sports talk television is getting narrowcast even more and more. If you're not yelling the loudest, you're not getting the burn. I'm not doing all that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it funky with what we're doing and be true to that and have our core audience and be fine with that. So, I want to see you flourish as well, my guy.
No, for sure. And I mean, this is about flower spreading, right? Because like I said, I see what you're doing with the open run, and I definitely like I support. I always said like one of my for me, I would say one of my favorite episodes was with MC Search because back in the
Mm,
day I was a big fan of third base. So,
mm.
I appreciated the stories and everything with that. And I thought that was wild. So for Open Run, like what makes this one different than the ones that the shows that you're doing before? Or is it in the same spirit, the same vein of that?
It's similar spirit. I mean, it's just me. Those other shows are more like all sports. This was like
More
basketball is the jump
interviews
off
and
point.
yeah,
Yeah, and the interviews with the people that I know and people I don't know, and opening myself up to understanding the difference between Web twos and Web threes, and our partnerships with people that I didn't know before, but their stories and how compelling those stories are. Being
right,
able to put them on a platform that says, okay, we're talking about basketball, but like talking about sneaker culture, which I'm deeply invested in, or I want to see women flourish. So my friends from the WNBPA or my friends who work in the music industry who are women who are doing it and flourishing and knew me back in the salad days when we were all struggling and making sure we got our names out there and people heard our voices
mm,
in a space where they didn't really want us. We made sure they heard our voices. And I think this is just a continuation of that as I get older, being able to do something and kind of archive. Like this is my love letter to all the things that helped make me, who I am and got me to this point, whether it be through basketball, sneaker culture, hip hop culture, like all of that,
right,
and I think it's really important for me to kind of document that, and my son sees it. It's funny when he talks to me about it and goes, I didn't know you did this. I said, I've never really sat down and did like I can't have my son interview me, so I can't remember all the stories. They just pop up when we start talking to these guys who are part of my life, like Master Ace, got me a clone phone. For 5 years I didn't pay a phone bill.
mm-hmm,
I mean, international lover calls, like, yo, for
mm-hmm,
years. And Ace hooked me up, and we just got really tight after years. So you don't see them as like the artists; you see them as the people.
right,
Bun B flourishing right now. My man Bun B will tell you the story how we met over a box of Dunkin' Donuts.
mm,
Dead serious, And I met Bun the politician. I met Bun the person first before I met Bernard Freeman, Bernard James Freeman,
mm-hmm,
before I ever met Bun B. Do you
right,
understand what I'm saying?
mm,
So to know that the same thing with Duval Clear, you talking about Michael Barron, these guys that even when I'm talking to search, she's like, did we meet before I met my wife? Like that, when you have to ask that
good
question,
question,
you've been with your wife over 30 years, like this is whether it's music or not, that's how we met. And we're like, you make the phone call and they're like, what do you need? I got you. that's a blessing, man. I can't. Again, those relationships, and again, I keep coming back to cultural currency. When you exchange it in the right way, and it's not counterfeit. You are always going to get that love.
And it's funny because even we go back because I remember when you just came to Toronto, and I shout out Chris Nice, DJ Chris Nice. I shout out
No
Big Brother
doubt.
Curtis. I shout out
Yeah.
DJ G Sharp.
Yeah.
And I still remember there was a time where I swear I do remember this. You watched the 2000 All-Star game, and not All-Star game, but the Saturday at our house. I
Was it
think
2000?
yeah, the Vince Carter when he went ape shit on the rim.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right, right.
So there's
That was
history
that
there.
was Oakland. That was
That was
Oakland. Wait, no, no,
Oakland.
wait, no, because I wasn't here yet. I wasn't here for 2000. I didn't move to Canada until 2001.
Okay, well, there was one of them that you was
It was I was there for something because
you
I'm
sat
like
on the couch. You sat on
Oakland.
the
When I
couch
say
for that.
Oakland was because I was in Oakland because I was still working with Queen Latifah and them. So I was in Oakland for 2000.
Okay.
But I was there for I remember that
Mm-hmm.
because
It was an all-star. I know it was an all-star period. I know that for sure.
Who did I meet first? I think I met Curtis
Chris.
first playing basketball. No, it's Chris first.
Yeah.
And then Curtis was doing the shorts and all the stuff, and I was wearing the shorts. I wore the shorts when I played in the celebrity basketball tournament with Magic Johnson in New York City. Right? I still have those pictures.
That's love.
Right? I told him I was going to rock them.
That's
and he was doing this thing. I forgot what the name of the company he had.
Franchise Athletics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was right. Shouts out to Curtis and Chris, of course, man. I mean, they definitely looked at when I first got into Canada. Again, after coming up years before that and trying to get my feet wet in the basketball community. Chris was DJing and stuff. So we going to different parties, just meeting people and just observing. Like I do that a lot.
Yeah.
It took me 4 years before I really got truly involved in things I want to get involved. I always look first and plan and just plot and like this is how we're gonna do.
Measure twice to cut once, as they say, right?
100%. You got that. 100%.
And when it comes to your writing, like now that you moved over to podcast, like for the I would say not full time, but the majority of it, will you stop writing as much? Because when I started, I was doing blogs, and I always say when I started my podcast, I'm gonna start back writing soon, and then I still say I'm gonna do it, but it's not as like I might have to do maybe like once or twice a year. I don't know. I love the recording of it all. So it's like the writing part of it. I don't know if I have the same love for it as I did before, just because I enjoy
You're
doing
elevating. You're
podcasts
moving
so much.
on.
Yeah,
you're evolving. Yeah, I think
but I don't want to cut it out though.
No, and I think what keeps my quote game heavy is that I always write a blurb about the podcast. That gives you enough hints, like, and you can. I like to connect dots without telling you everything that's in the thing. So I said, yeah, Dawn Staley is protecting her players, and Grandmaster Cass, right? And like, what does that mean? And like, she was paying BYU back for what they did to the Gold Crush, the Jay-Z bar, because I was talking about Jay-Z.
Right.
Like the episode this week is called "Dats to Deities." And a DAT is a digital audio tape for those who don't know.
Yeah.
And I have demos from Jay-Z on DAT. I have a Kanye DAT from a remix contest he did for me when I was at Sony before he was Kanye West. Like it was like that.
Before calling him Kane.
Yo, I met him through No ID and my man Ferris Thomas. So you hear him shout out Ferris Thomas on all the old records before he went left or whatever he's doing now, evolving, whatever.
Right.
Ferris used to be at this radio station, WGCI in Chicago. And I had a remix contest for this group called Jamiroquai when I was at Sony. And I was trying to break it on urban radio. And I had my mix show DJs do remixes. And I promised them like $5,000, 5,000 limited edition exclusive singles that they put out throughout the country with your name on it. Jason from Jamiroquai would never let us do that. But I had to throw something out there. $500 gift card to Adidas. I let them go and pick something out from the Sony store because in the 90s we were throwing money away. Okay, so we in the Sony building, HQ in New York. I could push a button on my computer and everything that was in the store, I could have it. I was giving away the original PlayStation, the gray one with you pop the
Yeah.
top on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like party favors, my guy. Here, giving them away
Mm-hmm.
like that. I didn't care who had me. Take them all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they got all that stuff, and Ferris told me, "Yo, man, I didn't win this contest." After, to be honest with you, a man, no ID, he has his protege by the name of Kanye West, who did the remix, and we flew them in to sign some paperwork, and he told us he was trying to be a rapper at the time, and I'm like, because he couldn't rap a Christmas gift at that time to me,
Yeah.
right? But his beats were fire, and our boss is a lawyer, or was a lawyer. Like he was like Babyface's lawyer, Prince's lawyer, Eazy-E's lawyer, named Ron Sweeney.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the meeting, I was sitting there with the A&R guys, and he was telling, shh, listen to the drums. And it was a keyboard bass line. I'm like, everybody was laughing, but keeping it in because he was the boss.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't know what he was doing. But like to have that opportunity to sit there and like, you know, or to tell Jay-Z and Damon Dash when they came over after their deal was done with Priority, they were trying to find a home. And I had a meeting with them. And I'm sitting, Dame did most of the talking, of course. I mean, Jay has some things to say, but Dame was like, so should we come to Epic? I said, you want the PC answer or the raw answer? He goes, give me the PC answer first. I said, absolutely, you should come over to Epic Records. We've never had any history of success with any artist until I got here. But yes, you should come over to Epic. He says, what's the real answer? Go to Def Jam, my guy. You got the cachet. You got one of the hardest artists in the world who's about to be that dude who I ran up on in Shanford. I tell the story in the podcast this week about how we first met. And it was from his dad. And I'm like, yo, your label said you couldn't handle another album, much less another single. This is Patrick Moxie at Payday Records. Said the JC couldn't handle any of that. This was back in my lifetime. That's what's the mean? All that. I'm like, what? You could tell. You kind of know. Like, how do I know? How did I know Wu-Tang was gonna be that? When you know, you know. This is early days. Like you just don't. You see it, and you just if somebody gets this and they nurture it right, it's gonna be that thing. I've, as my mother used to say, I forced got my way through life, my guy. Just being somebody who's open to the possibilities and curious enough to go through those doors and say, let me try this. Let me do this. You know, I like this. Let me do that. I think it really speaks to who I am as a person, always trying to build and create and want to leave this place better than it was before I got here. What's my legacy? I'll never see it. I'll never see it. And that's the key. I don't want to see it. I want some kid, like my students, when they come to class, I'm like, we may never see each other again. But when they always, like some of them write me back like, so I'm teaching now or I'm doing this. And I said a bar from your class, like it just reminded me that these are the things you gave to me. That's the cultural currency. You're carrying it forward. And, you know, they're like, I appreciate the time we had so much more now because you taught me some things about the difference between hearing and listening, and like what I need to do better. And I told them I'm still learning, but it's an amazing, like I keep going back to cultural currency. It's an amazing thing to be able to transfer and cash out with people all the time.
Now, you know, obviously, you know, like I said, when I initially met you, it was more through music, through Chris. I didn't know about the ball stuff till after, but you got a rich history of being experienced in the music business, and you know, like you know, that's how I initially knew you. So even though you're doing your thing within the basketball community in Toronto and across the country, I got to ask you a question or a couple of questions because it just wouldn't be right to me not to ask on the music side. Now,
right.
Recently, I don't know why this became a thing again, but recently the topic came up about R&B and how it's dead. And I thought, you know, overall in terms of the promotion, the way they promote it now, that it's died a Scarface style death of quite a few years ago, right? Back like right in the back, shotgun to the back, you know, but you know, Puffy recently brought up the conversation of R&B being dead. So for you being, you know, having your roots in the music game, in your eyes, what do you think can bring R&B back? at least on the level that it was like 90s, 2000s? Or do you think that's like that shit ain't never coming back to that
It's
level?
not going to come back, but you have to do. I think what ends up happening is not that it's dead; it's just that there's no outlet for it anymore
Mm,
because they're promoting rapper dudes who want to sing, and the R&B
yeah,
dudes want to be rappers,
I know.
right? And so when a love song sounds like this, baby, I skeeted in you the first time we was together because I wanted you to have my baby. That I guess that's a love song today. I'm not knocking them if somebody's buying that shit, but it's not for me. I think there's always going to be a market. We just have to create it and make sure that people know.
I
Because
guess
I
I
have a
know.
couple of artists who are writing and doing great things in R&B and doing placements and stuff with R&B as a genre. I don't think it ever die. I get it when he's saying it's dead. It's from a visibility standpoint, but he has as much to do with that as anyone else. You have a platform, you got Revolt, but because Drink Champs is the biggest show on the network,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you put all your resources toward.
Yep.
And I get that part. It's fun, it's great, but you could have a great R&B showcase every year. You could do all kinds of stuff that don't have anything to do necessarily with that. But here's the thing: the Billboard charts are not asking for R&B. When you see the Hot 100, and 9 of the top 10 songs are either by a rapper or a R&B song with a rapper on it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's Rihanna with Drake, or it's Frank Ocean with Tyler the
Tyler the
Creator.
Creator, right?
You see what I'm saying? So at the end
Mhm.
of the day, are we paying attention to the Frank Oceans and the Eric Roberson and the Dwellers and what's my man's name? Brent Five. Like it's a bunch of guys out here and women who are doing it to this day.
Yeah.
And I think that you know all you have to do is listen to go check out the score and the songs that have been played and placed on shows like Insecure,
Oh,
Issa Rae's show.
absolutely, absolutely.
You know, there's a long
It
rich
is
history of
it
great
is a
artists.
murderous row of great music,
So
and I say that not to say that R&B music is like the music isn't good, because there
mm,
is some great artists that's out there. You know, like my guy right now is Anderson .Paak. I've been a fan
mm,
of his before, like when he was just literally starting out. His first singles were on XM Sirius. You know what I mean? I'm
mm,
like, who is this man? Like, I keep seeing his name, Anderson .Paak. Man, this guy sounds nice.
right.
And to see where he's building, I love to see that, but I want to see a lot more of that. And I
Mm,
want, like for me, it's like, yeah, I'm a hip hop head, but like I'm old enough to know, like, R&B was like that was the thing that like, you wanted a different vibe. It didn't mix with hip hop. Sometimes it didn't. That connection was great, but you wanted the slow songs. You wanted, certain things. You need those elements too. We grew up on that,
so
right?
I wait. So I'm asking. I got a question now. You got me tripping now. And are we blaming the former king of R&B, Bobby Brown, because he was the first one to rap
Mm-hmm. I'm not even blaming
in
him.
the songs,
I'm
or
not blaming
are
him at
we
all.
saying that? Are we saying that the year that Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake and John B and Robin Thicke were named the top R&B artists in the world, that's when it died? I'm asking questions. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just asking questions.
Mhm. I mean, it's interesting. I would say the 2000s had an effect after Neo Soul kind of had an effect on that too. You know what I
But
mean? But when you
Erica Badu, come on, man, come
oh no
on,
no,
you
I'm not
kidding?
knocking. I'm saying that era was great. I'm just saying like once that started to tail off, it just started becoming
Did it tail off, or did they have less and less opportunity because rap was bringing so much more?
that's it.
Like
That's the
Here's Drake singing songs. If they had to choose between Eric Roberson and Fonte singing songs from Little Brother,
right.
or Drake, who people say he stole Fonte's style in the first place,
Hmm.
as far as the singing stuff,
Right.
who you gonna choose? You're gonna choose Drake. He's one of the biggest artists on the
Yep.
planet.
As
So that marginalizes the R&B end of it because you're like, okay, I can get the best of both worlds with Drake, that people know Drake, that he's famous, and if I want to play a rap song by Drake and a song where he's singing and whining and the whole nine, I can do that. I don't have to worry about this other stuff. So it does marginalize it a bit,
mhm.
but there's always going to be great R&B music out here, all around the world. and I'm always going to be a fan of just good music. Period. I'm not a genre guy, to tell you the truth. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's for bean counters at the labels and dudes at Billboard who told Little Nas X he wasn't country music, all right, but he's smarter than them to say, okay, even though every country station is playing my song, you're going to tell them it's not country music. Apparently, people think it's country music, but I'm going to help you out. So you said I'm a one-hit wonder? We're going to go out and get another one-hit wonder and Billy Ray Cyrus do the remix. All of a sudden, it's country music now.
Mm-hmm.
The complexion for correction, apparently, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is. It is what it is.
But I think,
yeah, I was gonna say it's a mix. It's a definitely. It's not. I don't think it's just one thing. To narrow it down to one thing is it's not just the one thing, because I think the concept of love on top of that too is removed from R&B.
It's removed from our music, period, though.
Yeah, for hell yeah,
because if you think about it, like I said, girl, I skied in, like, okay, okay. Is there a better way to say, like, you go up to one of the baby, I want you to be my girlfriend. Let me skin in you the first time so you can be my wife, huh?
She's leaving fast.
No, maybe she's like that. She a bad boy. Again, if you promote that thing, if you propagate that same thing, I'm not knocking that. There's a place for all of it.
Right.
There's a place for all of it. But as you start to marginalize people who actually write songs, and I'm talking about writing songs, and think about their craft and who the audience they're trying to reach,
right,
you're finding less and less of that. That's all I'm saying. It's less and less than that.
Now, before we go, because we're hoop heads, obviously, I can't let you get out of here without discussing a little bit about the NBA so far, because this summer's been crazy with all the rumors and the drama, and the trades, the news. For you, though, what's like the one or two things this summer that had you surprised or like caught your attention?
The WNBA season and how they're making comparisons, these non-linear comparisons between what the women were making. Shout out, free BG, first and foremost, Brittany Griner. But how they're making these like non-linear comparisons. Stephen A. Smith makes $12 million. The whole budget for the WNBA is $12 million.
That's crazy.
But I'm saying, like, how's that have anything to do with Stephen A. Smith? So I said, okay, well, I mean, if we're going to keep it funky, the entire salary cap for the Las Vegas Aces, the team that I want to win the championship. I'm a big fan of Asia Wilson, big fan of Chelsea Gray, as we talked about before we got on, and Kelsey Plum, and shout out to Kia Stokes, my homegirl. She played for the New York Liberty first, came out to Full Court 21. She was a part of it early on.
Okay.
So want to see her win, Jackie Young, that whole squad. And I think their salary cap is $1.3 million. Guess what their coach's salary is? $1.3 million. So if you want to do that and put LeBron makes 44, can I say LeBron on your show?
You can say LeBron. It's okay.
Oh, because
on my show. I know you're the flag bearer of LeBron.
No,
but it's
I'm not.
He who shan't can be, what does he say? He who shan't be named. Nah,
I'm not the flag bearer.
I don't care.
I know guys get emotional when I say his name, so I just try not to hurt feelings, and I'm trying to spare feelings because they're trying to protect a legacy they can't protect. It is what it is. I said this before, Cal, and this is very simple for me. Someone asked me I think it was on TSN, what do you think about the MJ? That's one of the things. I'll say that. So on top of the fact that the thing with Brittany Griner surprised me, I was really happy with the quality of WNBA basketball this year. More top flight players playing in Eurobasket and FIBA World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah,
love that.
Some nice ball.
You see Giannis, you see Jokic, you see Luka Lamar. That's with 2 R's playing in the tournament.
That was not to cut you, but that was an epic battle between Giannis and Joker.
Yeah,
that needs to be replayed somewhere because that was awesome.
And we didn't get to see that, so you have to watch the FIBA YouTube channel.
Yeah,
right. To watch all that stuff, just as a future reference hint, you can watch it there. And those things. But when I was asked about the GOAT conversation and who's the GOAT between MJ and LeBron, I'm like, well, I'm not going to answer it the way everyone else is going to answer it. Let me tell you this. If there's a legitimate argument, which it seems to be, all right, I'll put it like this. There's a legitimate argument as to who's the GOAT between a guy who won 6 finals, never lost, and a guy who lost 6 finals. How great must that guy who lost 6 finals be?
Well, it's funny because I would say this, man. I hated this debate between the two. I hated it, but not for a reason that people would think. Because where I hated it is because it's kind of the same thing. When I go back to the music reference about how when you're on radio, you could listen to a song, you don't like it, and then after 2 months you're like, na 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 na. Why am I singing this?
You've been programmed,
right? And I still remember this, man. When Miami went back to back, and I remember the somebody, I don't know, it was either ESPN or Fox. It was either one of them. I think it was
Colin Cowherd.
though. But one of them was like, well, is he approaching Michael? And I'm like, people are saying that. I'm like, what people are saying that? Nobody's saying this. He won back to back. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And I'm like, and listen, I think LeBron's a great player, but I'm like, who's having this discussion? Like, this isn't the Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas discussion. Like, what are you talking about? Nobody's saying this. And I started watching it a little bit more, having these conversations. Then, within 6 months or a year, you're walking into the gym. Well, hey, that really is a debate between MJ and thing. You're just like, wow, like I really saw this play out.
So do you think you've been programmed, or do you think that over those 6 months you've had more of a nuanced conversation and nuanced understanding? Because your initial thought, again, was like, there's nothing greater than MJ, which is not necessarily true. If we put it on a platter and go, okay, well, he won his 6, no doubt.
Yeah,
but he also won them.
And trust me, not to cut you, but I'm saying this, telling you that I'm a Magic Johnson guy. That's my guy.
Magic's the GOAT. He's my GOAT.
Yeah, right.
He beat and lost to some of the greatest teams in NBA history.
Yeah.
So it's like, if say for instance, you and I got into a fight, right?
Mm.
But you're a pacifist. You don't fight. And I beat you up. I won, but they're really, because you didn't fight back. You weren't built to fight back. That's not what you do, right? It's not your thing. So do I gloat about the win over somebody who didn't really fight back? Or if you beat me, if we fight and you beat me because you're the best, and I think I'm the best, and you beat me, and the next year I come back and I beat you, there's no shame in losing. There's no shame in winning. Right? There shouldn't be. Right? And so I look at it like that, and I go, what's your favorite drink?
My favorite drink? God, I don't even know at this point.
Give me one alcohol. Give me one.
Angostura. I'm gonna give you the Trinidad drink. Angostura 1919. We'll give you that.
All right. So how do you drink it? You drink it straight?
Usually straight. Yeah.
Do people mix it though? Do they mix it?
You could, but it tastes better when you don't.
Okay, so give me something that you would mix. Give me a mixed drink, like something you like, rum and coke.
Yeah, let's go rum and coke. Appleton and orange juice. Let's say that.
All right, so Appleton and orange juice. You put like 1 ounce of apple. If you go to the club, 1 ounce of Appletons, and they give you like 3-4 ounces of orange juice, right?
Mm.
What if they gave you that same 1 ounce, but they gave you 8 ounces of orange juice? Is it the same drink?
Not really.
Why you say not really? Why
because,
you say not really?
Because you're losing the alcohol.
So it's watered down, right?
Right.
Well, when you expand the league 6 times in 8 years, coinciding with when Michael Jordan won his titles, you won during the weakest period in NBA history too.
Was it really the weakest period in NBA history?
I just gave you an example. You told me it was weaker. You told it's not the same drink. Of course. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Wait.
I don't know if this is the weakest period. Listen, so like
if you expand the league that many times, the talent pool gets weakened. It's hard to just dispute that. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yet people try to do that because they're trying to hold on to this somehow. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't, because you had expansion teams that still were trying to figure it out. So when '96, when the Raptors and the Vancouver Grizzlies came in the league and they won 72 games, congratulations. When you look at who they beat in the finals, just like I talked about, like it's not that you just fought, but who you fought. That's why we like Magic, because of who he beat and who he played against. So when Jordan beat Magic, was it the Showtime Lakers or was it post Showtime?
Yeah, post Showtime, Drexler, Barkley.
No, I'm saying, like, he beat the Lakers not with Kareem and a healthy Worthy and a healthy Byron Scott in them. He beat Magic with HIV. I can't knock it. That happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
92, he beats Drexler, the one Hall of Famer on this squad. That's it, just him.
Mm-hmm.
93, same thing. Barkley. 96, Gary Payton, the only Hall of Famer in that squad.
Should be too, but drugs kind of took out Kemp.
No, should don't count.
Yeah,
should don't count. One, right? How many Hall of Famers did Jordan have on his squad when he beat them in '96?
3. We really gonna do this LeBron and thing conversation?
I'm not doing. Okay. I'm just asking you. I'm talking about Jordan. I didn't say anything about LeBron. 4. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Kukoc.
I guess you could say
Kukoc. Don't do that. Don't do that. Tony Kukoc was legit.
No, he was nice. He was nice.
To the degree that Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen had to team up on him and double team him and play him hard in the Olympics, even though they knew they were better than Yugoslavia. They knew he was coming. They wanted to prove a point to him. They were basically hazing him, right? Because if they let him go off, they didn't want to be embarrassed. I get that. Tony Kukoc is a legitimate Hall of Famer. It wasn't like he wasn't, a sixth man of the year, that he wasn't an integral part of what they did. If I recall, Scottie Pippen had a headache, or he was mad at Phil Jackson when Tony Kukoc hit that shot against New York in the playoffs. They drew up for Tony because Tony would hit the shot, and he did it. So Tony Kukoc is a Hall of Famer, right? So, I'm not making a comparison in that way. I'm just looking at, like, the eras and, like, who's you really playing, right? If I had to compare, they had a list of the top 50 teams to make an NBA Finals. I think you can find it on NBA.com. Of the 50 teams that made it to the NBA Finals, Jordan faced 1. You know where they were ranked? 45th. You know where that was? The 98 Utah Jazz. How old was Karl Malone in 98? How old was John Stockton in 98? 37, 38. Those are 2 Hall of Famers. 38 ain't the same on everybody.
Still nice, though. You won an MVP the following year. I'm talking about Malone, though, but you won the MVP the following year. But like I said,
Tim Duncan.
Could have been Alonzo Mourning too. But I always say, though, like, that to me, when I go back to that debate, like, watching it in that the way it was brought to my attention, the way it was brought to me, like, I didn't like how that was presented. Like, at that point, after 2, like, talk to me when it's like 3, 4. But after 2,
you know what?
I'm like,
the reason why they said that is because when you look at who he took to the finals, that's what they were talking about. Like, not even like Magic became the GOAT for me, not because the 5 wins before that, but the 91 finals made him the GOAT to me, even though he lost. Because in game 1, even though the Chicago was an overwhelming favorite, Michael had to prove to Magic that he was the man. Magic controlled every aspect of the game, had a triple-double, and they won game 1. As soon as they took Jordan off of him and let Pippen guard him so Michael could do what he needed to do.
Yeah, the series is over after that.
You can't discount that.
But that was a great series too, because I mean, he made.
No, it wasn't great.
But I'm saying I'm talking about Magic. I'm saying it was great because I'm like, he made that year. He made a lot of guys better. Like Divock. I want to say I'm forgetting his name, but Divock. Listen, when he came in there,
he's playing with Terry Teagle and Tony Campbell and Eldon Campbell, dog, and he made them. There's no way that he in 91 he should have even been in the finals. He dragged that. He killed Portland. Portland was the best team in the Western Conference
by
in
far.
90, 91, and 92. You saw the one year they didn't go to the finals was the year that Magic beat them.
And what's underrated? I'm glad we're getting to this Magic thing, but what's underrated though was Game 6 when he threw that ball down court and left 0.1 second left on the clock to end that. That is one of the most underrated smart plays in the history of basketball.
I'll tell you the smartest play.
That was absolutely amazing. That was absolutely amazing what he did.
It's top 3. Paul Westphal, blessed dead, him calling timeout in the 76 finals against the Celtics.
And making them shoot the 2 free throws and getting the ball back.
To give them a chance to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jason Kidd thing, when Jason Kidd played in who is he playing for? He's playing for the Dallas Mavericks.
Dallas when he ran into
Mike Woodson to get the technical. They were losing.
That was awesome though.
To think of that on the fly. I talked to Damon Stoudemire about this. Mighty Mouse, shouts out to you, man. On that Boston bench now. Talked to him about. I said, this is the smartest play I've ever seen in the game because he had to think, we're down, we need something to happen. How can we stop the clock and get shots up? He ran right into Mike Woodson on purpose.
He was on the court.
And they have to give him the ball and the foul shots. It was so smart. You have to understand the game inside and out to make a determination like that come down the court. Mm-hmm. So shouts out to Jason Kidd probably. But that Magic Johnson, of course. I mean,
that's so underrated. That's so underrated. That whole throwing it down I remember even I was watching it as a kid and I was like, that was unbelievable. Like I remember that. I remember that to this day. That was unbelievable to me.
I'll mess you up based on what you said about after 2, you're gonna call him the GOAT. Magic's 5-4 in the finals. We call him the GOAT because of who he beat. And he definitely played the greatest single game in finals history, Game 6 in 1980.
Right.
42, 15, and 7.
42, 15,
20 years old, and the MVP was on the shelf against all those Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm. And to me, it's not even. I mean, for me growing up, it wasn't just the winning. It was just like how he made me feel watching him play. Like Magic, between my brothers and Magic Johnson, those are the reasons why I played basketball. Those are the reasons why I went on the court to hoop. You know, like so it's like I don't care about Magic being on Twitter, all that stuff. Wow. Whatever, man. Whatever, man. I'm gonna still rock a jersey to this day. If I meet Magic to this day, you know, I'm shaking his hand because I know he affected my childhood in a great way when it came to basketball. No doubt. That was my number one influence, man. So, you know, so shout out to him because that, like I always said, when people have those debates and they're like, "Oh, well, you enjoy," I'm like, nope, stop it right there. To this day, if I play ball, I'd rather a great pass. Even to this day, as much as I love to score, to this day, I'd rather hit you with a nice pass, and that's from Magic. That's directly from that.
When you can control, we played in that celebrity game. He barely shot.
Mm-hmm.
He controlled every aspect of the game.
Yeah,
he barely shot. That's a mastery of the game that you rarely see from guys, and just to see it up close. And he wasn't even really playing serious. I think it was me, him. Like we were playing him, Derek Harper, Pat Cummings, blessed dead, for the Knicks. Both he and Harper played. This is in New York City.
Yeah.
Somebody else played in that team with them. Probably Rolando Blackman was on that team too, because of his relationship with Derek Harper when they were in Dallas. And he had Panamanian people. He's Panamanian, so he had something that was going on in New York at the time. And it was a 3-on-3 tournament, but they had a sub, and Rolando Blackman was one of them. And Magic just killed us, doing whatever he wanted to do, whenever he wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So to be able to see it up close and then, you know, take some pictures with him and sit and talk to him for a little bit was dope to me.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now going into this season, who's the team and player that you're most interested to watch going into the 22-23 season? It's my last question before I wrap up.
Kawhi Anthony Leonard.
Thank you.
And on the deepest team in the league on paper, can he stay healthy enough to have them dethrone Golden State or one of these young teams like, you know, Memphis coming up Can they do that? I mean, I want to see what he does. The Clippers have never had real success, and the only success they had making to the Western Conference Finals, they did it without him.
Without him, yeah.
So does that change the suit? Do guys like Reggie Jackson fall back and defer? You bring in John Wall. Does an issue in the backcourt like
I like
winning
that.
in
I
the
like
NBA?
that pickup by the way too.
Winning in the NBA is a delicate ballet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because of the chemistry,
Yeah.
and it could be one thing that throws off your entire season. And I'm not going to blame anybody, but like I don't know if there's going to be any friction, but they have the deepest team. They have a great coach in Ty Lue, and they have Hall of Fame caliber players on that squad. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I'm my young team that I'm looking forward to see. Atlanta, Memphis. Also, this idea of expansion is really something. And I talked about this. You can, if you check my my post on IG, I've been saying this for a while now, and I said they're going to give that Las Vegas franchise the Fenway Sports Group. You know who's a part owner of the Fenway Sports Group?
I do.
I'll leave it at that.
I do. I do.
I'll,
And you know what's funny too with that? It's that I mean, I'd love to see Seattle get it. I want to see them get it. They will get it. If there's two, they're gonna get it, but they're gonna be number two. They're gonna be number two. The amount of arenas that's being built in Vegas as we speak, there is only a matter of time before a franchise is coming there.
but they had to litmus test it first, right? They had to see what the Las Vegas Golden Knights did in the NHL. I mean, Gary Bettman used to work for David Stern, so he understands that part. You see what the Aces are doing. That's it. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, and then the Las Vegas Aces of WNBA. If they win the title, it's going to make it even easier. They already got the T-Mobile Arena there. The basketball summer league out there for a reason. You're testing the marketplace. When they did it's changed a lot since 2007 when the All-Star game was there and cats were getting jacked
on the
like,
strip, off the strip. Yep.
Money. I was riding a moped, zipping through like gangsters from 4 states were just standing in the corner, like, yo, run it. You know what this is. Because the traffic was so bad. Like you talk about traffic in Toronto, them cats were just walking up to your window. I'm like, keep it real casual. If you get out of pocket, I got this thing on you. Just give it up. Have a nice day. And they just walk back and just walked on. Like, cameras everywhere. Didn't matter.
Didn't matter. Yeah, I heard about that. That was wild. That was super wild. But yeah, and then on top of that too, you have all the NCAA. I mean, they had like 4 different conference tournaments this year in Vegas, right? Including the Pac-12. It's only a matter of time. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah. I don't even think you have to read the tea leaves, man. It's right there. Well, it's like graffiti. It's like graffiti right now.
But one of the first picks ended up being one of his sons. You'll know. You'll know. You'll see.
Yeah, man. No doubt.
Let him fulfill that.
No doubt. No doubt. But brother, thank you as always for hopping on the Ave Podcast, man. I know this is not your first time, but it's been a long time. Hopefully, the space will be condensed for the next time you come on. But I definitely appreciate you hopping on, and I thank you for your patience because
no, man, don't do that. Don't do that. No, brother. Look.
Oh no.
This is we good.
No. Always no. But I'm like, but I just I want to tell you thank you as well because I'm saying patience not for what you think, and I'm saying because I went through like a kind of like a like a life-changing event earlier this summer. So we were supposed to do the show right that week. So I was like, when I start back, I'm like, it's like I was like I have you in mind. I'm like I want to have you as one of my first couple of shows. It has to be, you know what I mean, because I want to pay that back. And like I said, this is a flower sharing episode, man. I want to share the love and just be like, yo, thank you for what you've been doing, man. People are watching and and you're doing your thing, and it's definitely appreciated. That's why I want to come support this summer. But that traffic.
Hey man, look, steel sharpens steel, and 100%. I know it's spread love is the Strickland way, so that's what we do, and I want to see you flourish and keep doing your thing too, man. And if you need any help, you know where I am. you know,
100%.
and like keep doing it, man. Like that's all you could do is keep doing it and doing it in a way that nobody else can do it in the way you do it, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be okay with it.
Yep. And I am. Believe that.